finally. So here we're doing kind of a tie it all together C review. The only new material, though we may have done this at some point, is doing pentatonic play and point, to switch between keys, which got sandwiched in number 4, bottom right of your assignment page. C review stuff. Go back through all your C major fingerings. What I'd like you to do this week is, if you haven't already been doing this, go up starting on C and come back down and hit all the notes. I know that kind of runs contrary to what I've been telling you to do so far with playing the whole thing in point here. Now we're starting to emphasize how this is actually going to come up when we're playing, since it's almost always our job to root, and then other shit happens. So we're either going root and then back down, or root and then up the pattern. So let's start to think of that as our default way to run these patterns when you're going to go up and down them. Is, presumably you've got this memorized going, extra notes back here, and then this one, and so forth, which you'll get to certain spots where it's like super obvious. And then for number 6, that's the one you've been doing incorrectly. There's no good C, so you would just be like, and that's all pinky reaches. But this one's really like, you're just not going to use it so much, but we'd either be going, and this will also kind of drill home. It's like, here's a C. I can do this one, or I can do this one, or I can cruise up here and do this one for the same range of notes, and different ones have different upsides. And then lastly, it'll be like, oops. Awesome. So next project's going to be spreading out to other keys. If you can make yourself do that, that would be cool. But let's just focus on finishing C. You might do it in D as well, where everything's just 2 frets higher. But one thing that'll be different is that the fingerings that are at the 12th fret will be at the 2nd fret in D, so you can get used to playing them in a part of the fretboard where we're actually used to doing stuff. So if you were playing in D, it would start with our 7th pattern up here. That one, and then one would be out in front of it, and so on. Holyoke, Mass. That's where we went to college. Alright, but just in C, excuse me. So review, stop, get really good at that stuff. And now I'd like you to target the ones that you actually forget and just practice those for a while. Seriously, don't play the other ones so much whatsoever. Cool, so then on the page we got the pentatonic overlaps. We've got the main box on top of our number 3 minor one, and then back behind it, and then while we're on the subject, the weird notes right there where we can be lunging. And then we get to this is the only one where we can't really invent a good index ring heavy way to do it. So there's that one on top of our Locrian, that one. Cool. And then pentatonic 3 is on top of that annoying pinky reach one that we're correcting. And it starts with 3 of these in a row. So kind of think of that as your crux of how you play fingering 6, even if it seems like, man, I really ought to be including these notes here.
Yeah.
If we kind of look at what we're doing, it's like, the root. And then if I was just doing this, I'd be going here's the 3rd, then it's and the minor root, and so it's actually, and sliding to those notes as well. Just food for thought. But yeah, this pentatonic on top of that suggests that how we actually play major scale number 6. And then lastly, we've got our blues box, A string box, which is the one we were just discussing. If it was in D, we would have been on the 2nd fret. Cool. So do that shit. And now go back and when you do the same stuff you were just doing, but try to notice where A is too in these. And I just made this one or that one than the other ways. Cool. So there's your new process for running scales is root, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or whatever's left in the next notes. Cool. So there's our pentatonic overlaps. And what we really want to hammer home is I can do this or this. You know, I can play my major scale number 3 or my main blues box. So having practiced all this stuff, you're going to go up pentatonic, down diatonic, and up diatonic, down pentatonic. Once you have it memorized structurally, make yourself do it the opposite way of what's natural right off the bat, like sooner than you'd think I'd want you to. Flip it and do the one that's harder for you. As long as structurally you see what's going on, you're not going to like hit wrong notes or lose your orientation. And then lastly, we're at like, around 6 minutes into the video, the concept of getting good at just launching into any of these pentatonics like we have with the major scale by going I'm at this fret 1, big, 2, big. Just going main box. I'm in air C. On box. Go ahead. And so on like that. Just do them all there. And there's no good minor root in the second one, and there's no good major root in the third one. So there you go. Something I said during the lesson today is playing in a modern context is way more like you play pentatonic type riffs and add the tones from the major scale, as opposed to you play major scale type riffs and then you play pentatonic. Overall, the main task this week is to work on your technique with, and I'm not that all that over on the left side of the page, just general classical position. Try to work on minimizing the change from when you go to the low strings to the high strings. The thing that had you bending the fifth string so much was this thumb juxtaposition. Anyway, there you go. Not the most fun shit we've ever done, but also implied and play music while we're